person. Plus, you want to calm their mind, calm any anxiety. If they're nervous about the treatment, you want to make it really slow movements. Okay? So the more anxious or nervous the person is, the slower you're going to go. Because you don't want any like fast jabbing moves. That's going to make a person, right? So we want calm. Okay? So I often just start by making a connection through the top of the shoulders. Gives me an opportunity to diagnose as well as just make that connection. And I can just find and get rid of whatever tension I can at the very top of the shoulders there. Have a feel of the muscles of the neck. And I can work into the scalp. So when we're doing scalp massage, we're holding the scalp and moving it over the skull. We'll often find little bumps and things like that. If we pick up any energy, we just get rid of it like that. And here I'm definitely feeling some little bumpy bits over top of the ears, which is very common. And then I like to work on this area a bit as well. And I don't do a face massage as a routine. I always go with a bit of this, bit of that, how long, depends on the person. But this is a very, very important area. So there's actually a little thin band that we're gonna feel through here. And I like to separate that tension that people get in this area in Ayurveda called the third eye chakra around here. Very important area. Directly relates to the belly tension on the big toe belly band as well. So this is a very important technique. And I'm actually cross-fibering over that little band right there while pulling the eyebrow up. So I can roll along in here or cross over it. Again, never go through the motions of just, oh, I'm just doing the techniques, but feel what you're doing. Feel the tension in this area. Feel both the, what we could say, use the term energetic blockage, as well as the tension in these little bands here. It's a very important spot right here. Just opening that up, and then I'm going cross-fibering it while moving this way. And then getting that stuck energy. Sometimes I then join it in with the tension here above the ear. Okay, because she's got lots of what I call like chunky or lumpy bits there. I can also then, once I've loosened this area up a little bit, I can pull the eyebrow up like this and work in here in the sinus area. And you can see how that, you can see that little band coming through there when I do that. See that? Right? That's, again, very important. So we want to flush the sinuses, and I'm beside that bone, okay, the cheekbone. And then I can join that up with the jaw tension as well. And I can feel she's got quite a lot of jaw tension on that side. And again, I can come in here and work this spot. And then come back into here. And I can do pressure on, pressure off. Especially if somebody's got dry skin on their face, we don't want to slide too much because you'll pull the skin. If they got a little bit of natural facial oils, then you can slide. I can also work it like this. So there's multiple ways to work this area. All joining up with that jaw tension. So we're interlinking some of the most important areas of facial massage. Most important areas are here, the jaw, and then, the general area of the scalp as well, and the forehead. So again, now I'm coming in a circular movement over that little band of tension. So the little band of tension is near the eyebrow, but don't necessarily always use the eyebrow itself as a marker. People like me, I don't even have an eyebrow, right? So you want to feel that band. It's not just the eyebrow. And it's not the ridge line of the skull, okay? Because we're not massaging bone. There's a little band over there. You really want to become familiar with that. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. How's the pressure, Chelsea?
Oh,
good. Okay, again, feeling right in here, and I can cross fiber that little band, or I can roll along it again, depending upon the natural oils of the face. Right? We generally don't like to use oils on the face. You have to be very careful. But then we can follow that, and we're getting that nice little clunky bit here. If this gets really tight, that's where people get a lot of headaches, migraines, and that sort of thing, okay? And again, any energy I pick up, I just flick off. I can come in and do again, so the way I practice face massage is not as a routine. I actually don't I don't have my mind thinking it. My hands just, I know what to do, and they just go, and it's like, okay. So now I'm being drawn to this technique, which I call it's like an energy rod in the head, right? So I'm projecting energy, like, if you've ever done Qigong and you can make an energy ball in your hands. This is like a laser beam, and it goes straight into the middle of the brain. And I use my fingers like this, right? And it creates like a trident. Not quite, because they're all joined. And it's done above the ears, and you're creating like an energy polarity. And then I usually rock the skull when I do that. Again, any energy I pick up, I flick off, and I can come into this area above the ears and around here where there's a lot of congestion. Do circular movements, and again, especially for people with hair, you don't want to be pulling their hair. You have to be very careful of that. On a bald head, you can kind of do a lot more just moving around, as long as there's a bit of natural oil or grease or whatever you want to call it. But here I'm finding some very tight spots right above the ears here, right? Which in my opinion, then I'm thinking, what's happening with her thumbs? Yeah. And then again, I'm just getting right into the scalp, and I'm just finding any bits, and it's again going to be hopefully nice and relaxing for her. Of course, I do, a fairly deep head massage, so it's a little bit intense, but not too bad.
no, it's good.
This is a nice technique, again, where I'm very much using my hara to come from, right? You can feel I'm coming from my whole body and leaning in to my thumbs, and they're working down the midline of the skull. So this is a shiatsu move I learned many, many years ago. And so again, when we look at those bands, the big toe belly band and then the big toe sacrum band, they seem to actually cross through the head and go through here. And that's associated with certain meridians and things as well. So what I'm doing is I've got my thumbs either side of the midline, and then I'm just leaning in with my body weight. And it feels completely different than if I'm just pushing in from my shoulders, right? It's a much more kind of deep, energetic move. Okay, and again, any energy I pick up, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get rid of any energy that's not her pure life force, right? So it's nothing personal. Now I'm really looking at the tightness that she's got here and the association with the jaw tightness. Okay, so she's got a lot of jammed up kind of stuff going on in here. So I'm going to get her to open her jaw a little bit. And I'm going to come in right where the jaw, the TMJ point is, temporomandibular joint. And it's very close to the ear. And it's a very sensitive area when people are tight, so you don't want to go too hard. And I'm finding quite an enormous amount of tension on this side here. Very tight in her jaw. And because it's so tight, I'm just doing one side at a time. So I don't want it to be too uncomfortable for her. And I'm going to follow that in, again, where I was working before, right up into here, yeah? I was coming from the opposite direction before. And now I'm going to try and do lighter on this side and go more into the right side of it and see what's going on in there. Remember when you're breathing out, especially if you need to take a deep breath, turn your head to the side. Don't breathe on people's faces. I mean, obviously we're going to be breathing a little bit there, but not a deep, heavy breath. And it is good to keep deep breathing when you're treating people because you're picking up a bit of energy or whatever and you want to keep it moving. So again, a lot of jaw tension kind of going on this side. So I'm going to just open her jaw a little bit wider and then again, being quite careful. It's very painful if you go too hard in here. So I just want to kind of, and I don't want her to be, you know, starting off with a whole lot of pain and discomfort. I know what it can be like. I've had a tight jaw myself and it can hurt like anything. So being aware of that, being sensitive to that, and then we can kind of come in and just do what we can to see what tension's going to go away nice and easy. If it's going to go away, let's get rid of it. If not, we know that it's held and in somewhere else. And in particular, like I said, I'm thinking about the thumbs because, as I showed you guys, we've got the outer thumb band coming up through here, right? And that's going to affect the jaw a lot. But before I get into that, I'm going to just do what I can to get rid of the tension. And I remember in the class here a couple of years ago, I was working on a lady and just doing her jaw had a huge emotion. She had a huge emotional release, like so much. She trapped so much by the tension in her jaw, and that just all let go. So don't underestimate. Jaws are really important because it's like keeping a lid on things. You know, when we get a tight jaw, it's often like I'm holding back stuff, usually anger. Okay, but it can be other things. It can be I'm not going to speak my mind. You know, just tighten on my jaw and bear it. But that, on an emotional level, keeps it all in as well, right? So if somebody's got a really tight jaw, it's very hard for them to release emotionally because they'll just stop it. So you'll be working against them by pushing the energy up from the toes into the belly, and then it'll jam in the jaw. And so you've got two opposing forces like that if you don't loosen. So always throughout the treatment, you want to be aware of how tight is their jaw. How much can we release? And so
the jaw is hard, very tight.
Very tight. Yes, if you have a feel right here.
This is tight.
This is very tight. Okay, and it's the same on the other side. So there's a real jaw clenching kind of thing going on there. Okay, so again, I'm just trying to, whatever I can get rid of, I will by just doing these kinds of moves. I can even hold in here. This is probably pushing her a little bit higher on her, threshold, but she's doing really well. Is that okay? That pressure? Yeah. And I'm coming up now into this area here above the gums. And again, then what I'm doing is I'm ever so slightly moving. So I'm breaking up some of the congestion because it's actually right up even into here. These moves, I sometimes jokingly refer to them as the fish face moves. But they're very important, okay? Jaws, like I say, jaws are so important. And that's gonna then relate to obviously it's gonna relate to this tension coming here, and then the thumb from the outer thumb, right? But I want to see what's going on in the base of her neck, right up here. And here I can feel all the different bands as I run my fingers through here, band, and I can actually start diagnosing. So I can start to get a picture of what's going on with some of these bands as well. And then I can also do things like working across the forehead like this. And again, more of a shiatsu style of pressure on, pressure off. Or I could, if they have natural oils on their face, work like that. Hers is just enough. I feel like she's just on the border where I would want to do that without it causing that feeling of burning. And the other thing that I like to do is start to work up, again, pulling this energy, what I call energy that gets trapped in this third eye area and opening this area. To me, it's one of the most important aspects of facial massage, is opening this area up. And it calms the person's mind and gets them into a deeper brain wavelength, is how we could describe it, more meditative. And again, I'm coming back and repeating these moves because I can still feel so much tightness in here. And I feel tightness in her jaw, but I want to give her a little rest from that. And I feel like I'm getting to that point where me working on her jaw is not actually releasing it anymore. Okay. So I still feel it's tight. I've got it looser than what it was, but it's held. So I'm thinking thumbs. Okay. And it's super tight in there. It's really tight. Like it's just in here. It's just jammed. Yeah. Okay, so that's largely then a lot of what I do in different ways with the facial massage. With the neck, I can often move it to the side like this, stretch out the neck, and again, feel with my thumb the different bands of tension that are coming up into the neck. That'll get rid of some of it, but mostly it's a diagnostic thing, all right? Feels good, but it doesn't feel good if you go too hard and it's held in the ends of the bands. It starts to feel bad pain, okay? So we can diagnose and go, oh yeah, she's pretty tight, like here, for example, right? You can go, that's pretty tight, you know? So that would be then the outer wrist band. And if you're not sure, it's very, you know, it could be the difference between the outer wristband and the outer thumb band. But you'll double check your diagnosis just to make sure because the bands are so close. But both of them feel tight. Like that to me is more the outer thumb band, and that's also very tight. So it's giving me an idea that we need to do some loosening up work on that hand, on that thumb. And again, we can turn the head to the other side. And again, you can see once I'm working in here and I'm not worried about being close to the eyes, I actually close my eyes because I can focus better, you know? Oh, and then, so now I'm going, wow, there's a chunky knot right there, or I shouldn't use the word knot, but a chunky, and to me, that's gonna then affect this whole side of her head, even though it's a little bit lower because it's more in here. We want to get rid of that because that's going to come up here, and some of this is going to be affected by that. It may also then, by coming up here, affect the jaw, right?
Can I feel that?
Yeah, feel right there.
Okay.
So again, I'm still, like, as I start, I'm treating and diagnosing at the same time, and I'm starting to think, what's my plan? You know, where am I gonna go, you know? And I'm already kind of thinking if she's got tight hands and particular bands. In particular, I'm thinking like outer wrist band, and I'm thinking outer thumb band. Then I might come along and I might diagnose that inner thumb band through here. And that feels kind of tight too. Right? And I don't want to get too stuck into that at this stage because it can be quite sensitive. So then I can come into her arms. And she's, you know, pretty easy to feel the bands on. And I can, mostly I'm interested in her thumb. I want to know what's going on in here. And she's very tight in there. Because that's going to be affecting, that outer thumb band, as I say, is going to be affecting her jaw tension. And so I'm also thinking I'm going to get a chopstick or something in here. But I'm just going to hold this point, not too strong. I don't want it too intense right now for her. I know it's intense as it is. So I'm just sort of medium pressure, letting her breathe into it, okay? And you can see she's getting some good breaths there. It's nice, she's relaxed. And you can, if you look at her face, you can see she's, you know, pretty chilled now. And I'm just holding that and letting her breathe into it, okay? So it's that combination of holding a point and working with the breath. It's that partnership model. I show her where she's tight, she breathes into it and lets it go, right? And so, and I'm going, that's about as good as we're gonna get with that. And when I pull the joints, and I'm gonna show you guys this later, but we bend the joint like this and then pull. And that'll get this joint and this joint, right? If we want to get this top joint, we actually bend it here. A little bit awkward for me, but we can still get it, right? Because I got big hands. If it doesn't go, then I want to feel what's going on in that joint. and I move it. I support this joint here so that there's no movement, and I move it side to side. And then I go, okay, this finger's tight as well. And I'm still thinking chopstick in the tip of the point and then work the sides, okay? But right now, what I wanna do first is kind of get the big picture of what's going on, right? Before I get too stuck into individual points and that sort of thing. So I'm also gonna come in and have a feel of her belly. So I'm gonna get you to take a deep breath into your belly. And I'm gonna start off very gently. Because having felt her tummy yesterday, I know she's very sensitive. And so I'm gonna just mostly think about, at first, the connection. Okay, this is a very important energy center in a person, and I've got an important energy center in my hand. So it's about building that trust, putting energy in that it's okay, that she's safe, first of all, because it's very vulnerable, very personal area for people. And that's why I'm going gentle. And you can see even that is, you know, and that's what we were experiencing yesterday when I was touching her belly. Very tight, and you know, easy to react to that, right? So I'm going to go in again, get her to breathe, and then just the slightest little. So she's got what you got, but way more intense, and it's more close to the surface. Yours is like deeper down, right? Hers is right on the surface. All right. So I'm diagnosing, and I'm going, okay, that's tight. Will that release from me doing this? Just gentle rolling over and her breathing, or not? That's, well, we'll try, but I don't think so. I think a little bit.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry, don't say sorry. So I'm going, okay, that's going on, but that is coming. Then we got the big toe belly band, so her big toe is tight, undoubtedly, I know that from just feeling. And also we've got the delta band coming in through here, and also that's also tight. And the upper little toe band here is also tight, okay? Then I can confirm that diagnosis by coming to her knee. And I can feel on this outside of her knee, I can feel incredible tightness coming up through here, which is the delta band here and the upper little toe band here. All right, it's like you can actually virtually see it there, like, see how tight that is? Yeah. Okay, so again, this is a nice diagnostic area, right? Because at first we want to diagnose, then we come up with a treatment plan. Okay, so that's like a steel cable coming up there, which is the upper little toe band, and then behind there is the outer little toe band as well. If we're not sure, sometimes bands are a bit different on people. And I might go, is that the outer little toe band or is that the side leg band? I'll come down and I'll confirm it through other areas. So another great diagnostic area where it's so easy to feel the bands is just above the ankle. So when we think about diagnosis, we think belly, we think above the knee, and we think above the ankle, and then we think toes. Much harder to diagnose in the belly of a muscle, up here and up here, okay? Because it gets in deeper, sometimes it's hard to find the bands. But in here, we can easily find them. We can feel around the ankle, right? We can feel here, and again, that's so tight through there. Okay, it's just like, wow. And to me, then, that's definitely also the outer little toe band, because it's coming around the ankle. And the upper little toe band is here, and again, that's also tight, okay? And then we can feel the delta band, and we can go, that's pretty tight too. And we can also then feel, and you can see on her, the big toe belly band. It's right there, right? You can see that. And that's also, remember, that's where she's jumping. That's where it's all happening. So it's all anchored through here, right? So this is, again, diagnosis. I don't want to go in too deep at the moment. I'm just getting a feel for what's going on. I try and pull that big toe. It's not moving right now, okay? It's like, it's jammed, yeah? Same with this one. That one went. Okay, so what I'm going, okay, there's quite a lot, just on that side of the body, there's already a lot of work, right? But I just get a big picture and go, what's the most important thing to do? And what tension can I get away nice and easy? If it's gonna come away nice and easy, let's get rid of it, right? And we feel on this side, and it's like I can virtually feel a pulse kind of coming through here. It's so tight, right? It's so intense, yeah? Do you want to have a quick feel of that so you know what?
Excuse me.
Yeah. Feel how tight that is.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and so that's the big toe belly band, and then we've got tightness in the delta band to a certain extent, but not as bad as here, but it's still quite tight. And the upper little toe band is also quite tight. Okay. Again, we can then just double confirm that by feeling her knee. And again, I'm feeling here, it's so tight through here. And, you know, again, I don't want to go too hard because you can see how quickly I'm hitting her threshold, right? So then I'm going, okay, let's just, again, get rid of, you know, I'll show you how to adjust the toes and that sort of thing later, but toe doesn't want to move. That one does. That one does. Doesn't. Okay. So, again, I can diagnose from here and I can go, that's tight. Everything's, you know, pretty much tight through here. This is all crunchy on the upper little toe band. Do you want to feel that crunchiness? And remember how tight she was on the upper little toe band. It's like there's a crunchy feeling. You feel that? It's like little
gritty and
yeah.
Can I try that?
Yeah. So right in here, just it's all sort of.
Oh yeah.
You keep us in business, don't worry.
I got 98 kilos of that.
Yeah. And we can look at her toes and we can go, yeah, there's quite a lot of, you know, ins and outs, and the toes are all moving everywhere, right? So we want to, and obviously, you know, she said she was born with some of that, right? So, but we want to correct as much as we can, because some of that's all leading to tension. There's an awful lot we can do to help here. And you can see strongly, you know, that tendon being pulled, and then, you know, obviously you've got that curvature. So remember I was saying the upper little toe band is tight and she's crunchy as anything through here. Well, let's look at that little toe. That little toe's curling this way, and that point there is going to be really tight. Yeah. So I just hold it at a medium level, just move again what I can before I get into the detail. I can also just come in here and do what I can in between those points. But again, that's just warming up the area. You know, I pay attention to the temperature of people's feet as well. So they're relatively cold. But when we start working on them, they'll feel warm as we get the blood flow happening. So then I just want to feel what's happening also in this arm and shoulder, because remember I was feeling some tension through here, and that's coming in through here, and so we can feel this is a great diagnostic area as well, just below the shoulder blade here, or the shoulder, not the shoulder blade, the shoulder bone or whatever, and we can feel all these different bands and how tight they are. Okay, do you want to have a quick feel in there?
You're grabbing that.
I'm cross-fibering over it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So again, I'm picking up a lot of tension, as I was suspecting from her neck. Okay. And coming down into her arm. That was a good double clicker on the thumb joint, so both went. That went.
So why click them?
It opens them up. Helps them to move. If they're not clicked, they can get stuck. Acids can build up, which is what in Ayurveda they talk about arthritis building up as a form. You know, that if the joints become stiff, then I think it's calcification that happens. You know, I'm not an expert on the scientific side of things, but it basically some forms of, you know, I think it's calcium. And don't quote me, I could be wrong on that. But basically minerals and what in Ayurveda they call different toxins get stuck in those joints and make them stiff. So that helps prevent arthritis. Yeah, it was a good risk. I'm going to show you guys all that. That's a technique I have to show you in the special techniques course. Okay, so again, I'm just having a feel that, like I say, I get rid of anything that comes away nice and easy, right? So now my thought pattern is, should I bother to turn her over and feel how tight she is? I kind of felt her back yesterday. It's tight as anything everywhere. So I could then go, okay, so I already know she's tight, her hips are tight, everywhere's tight. So then I go, okay, what's my plan? What do I want to start with, right? I could check with her if she's got like a particular area where she's, you know, like had a problem, like, you know, have you got any particular areas where you've got like an annoying problem that you want to have addressed?
I didn't realize the pain in my tummy, but I always get a really pain in that area you were talking about.
Yep.
Where it feels, it hurts to breathe sometimes.
Yep.
So, on this, it's like a bit in that bit.
Where the diagonal
Where
band of
they
the little
all-
finger joins and they all meet.
Yeah.
So I am thinking because of this tension here and because her back is, I remember yesterday her back is so tight, I don't want to keep flipping her all over. And what she's saying is she gets that pain there. Maybe I should start with a big toe. Big toes are always pretty good to start with. Sometimes thumbs are better, sometimes big toes. In this case, she's kind of tight everywhere. So there's many different ways we could go about it, right? As long as we achieve something. So rather than spread everywhere out, what I'm gonna do is focus on a small goal. Like if I look at my objective, my long-term objective is to completely free her of all tension. That could take 10, 20, 30 hours, right? So in this treatment, I might have another hour and I wanna get this one toe loose, because if it's the big toe, it's gonna affect the big toe belly band, big toe sacrum band, to a certain extent, the delta band. So big toes are important, right? So I'm gonna set that as my objective for one treatment, rather than kind of set an unrealistic objective, which is to free her body of tension completely. That's a 10, 20 hour, 30 hour job, right? All right, so I'm gonna get myself, my seat, get ready, get myself comfortable. I'll just wash my hands a second and I'll get